We are 72 hours away from the Titans hosting the Colts in Week 3 of the NFL season. Titans are trying to avoid the 0-3 start, and the Colts are trying to go 3-0 for the first time in I don't know how long. Welcome into Titans Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Brett Alper. And yes, the Titans probably are facing as an underdog in this one, as you see the 4.5 line. It is in Nashville, a 12 p.m. Central kickoff at Nissan Stadium, and it's the first divisional matchup for both of these teams. So usually in these division matchups, you expect it to be a little bit closer, but with how the Titans are being and how the Colts are being, I'm not 100% sure. We'll ask you, though, before we break down and preview the entire game, who do you got? Type your Tennessees down in the chat. Or if you're the lone Colts fan that is trying to watch a preview, because we don't have a Colts channel here at Chat Sports, type your INDs down below. Let's look at the top storylines of going into this matchup this weekend. The first division matchup for both of these teams. The Colts, they faced the Denver Broncos and also the Miami Dolphins the first 2 weeks, and the Tennessee Titans, they faced the Broncos and then the Rams. Daniel Jones is absolutely cooking. And I mean cooking. And then Brian Callahan, I think we all know at this point that he is fighting for his job. And if he goes to an 0-3 start, it's just not looking good for him. Start with kind of the Colts' offensive stats, and they look absolutely incredible. And my prediction at the beginning of the season that they were going to be one of the worst teams in football. Completely L for Alper on that one. Completely wrong. You can see 445 yards a game at second. The passing yard is tied for second at 284. Rushing yards, yeah, they're third with Jonathan Taylor. Points per game at fourth. And their third down percentage, they're completing a ton of third downs. They are tied for sixth. And it's all thanks to Mr. Daniel Jones. And he was with the Giants throughout his whole entire career since 2019, and he was pretty much the laughing stock of the NFL. Everybody wrote him off, and they said that he was completely done. But in his first 2 games, career resurgence, 71.4 completion percentage, almost 600 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no turnovers. And I think we could all say that we are 100% shocked at this. When they signed him in the offseason, everybody laughed and was like, they're giving him this amount of money for a 1-year deal. Well, he's earning his money. And imagine what the Colts would be like right now if they went with Anthony Richardson instead of Daniel Jones. They might be 0-2 just like the Tennessee Titans. Just like the Tennessee Titans. But with Daniel Jones as the quarterback, they are one of the best offenses, if not the best offense in football. And when you look at some of the playmakers that they have on this team, a lot is on the offense. I guess you got to call Daniel Jones a Colts playmaker at this point with how he's playing. Jonathan Taylor is healthy, and he is an elite running back. And Michael Pittman Jr., in my opinion, is 100% one of the most underrated wide receivers in football. And Cameron Bynum as the safety, as I was asking around the Chat Sports office, who was the best defensive player on the Colts, and they all said Bynum is having an amazing year. So let's talk about the defense a little bit. Their defense, I know you've played the Miami Dolphins, which kind of skews everything because I consider them the worst team in football, but they're still only allowing 276 yards a game at 5th. Passing yards is 7th. They locked down Bo Nix. Yes, they locked down Bo Nix, Producer Moose. They locked him down, the host of our Broncos channel. Rushing yards, holding to less than 100 per game. Points per game, 18. And the only problem for them, it's for a third down conversion. They're allowing a lot of third downs, which is 24th in the NFL. Basically, what this whole entire game is, this is a must-win game for the Tennessee Titans because we've seen the stats about 0-2 teams to make the playoffs. Most of them don't. Well, the percentage drops even further once you go 0-3. And you lose this game, it's over for you. You might as well throw away the season. It's, hey, we're going to develop Cam Ward, and that's going to be about it. But you also have to look at Brian Callahan. Because if he loses this game and then you go back to last season, it's about 8-game losing streak since the Titans have last won a football game. And he's trailing completely out. And that is kind of the question here. I made it. I know for sure we made it. Yes, we did. And I was looking at just like, what are the chances that Brian Callahan does end up getting fired? I predicted at the beginning of the season, if they went 5-2, or not 5-2, 2-5, or even 1-5, that he would be fired mid-season. But you can see right here, the next head coach fired. Mike McDaniel is a -500. They play the Bills tonight. And in Buffalo, if you lose, start 0-3, it's looking bad for Mike McDaniel. But Brian Callahan, plus 350. Brian Daboll and Raheem Morris round out the top 4 of most likely to be the next head coach fired. And he's had a rough going. The challenge debacle, the halftime adjustments, it has not been good for Mike McDaniel, and you're supposed to be that quarterback whisperer. He's worked with Matthew Stafford. He's worked with Peyton Manning. He's worked with Joe Burrow. Now you're working with Cam Ward. You're supposed to bring Cam Ward to be the best guy that he can be, and Cam Ward struggled in week 1. He looked a lot better in week 2, but that offensive line is absolute dog shit, which we will talk about on the back half of this show. But if you lose this game, it's not looking good for Brian Callahan, so it's a must-win, in my opinion. I'll ask you guys, do you want Brian Callahan fired? Do you want the Titans to just kind of throw away this season and develop Cam Ward, bring in another guy? Because you already brought in Mike Borgonzi as your general manager going into this season. So you might want to bring in a guy that he wants to hire. Go down in the comments right now. Coming up, I got my keys to victory for the Titans. And it's going to take a lot to beat this Indianapolis Colts team, but you're at home, and it's a division matchup, so anything is possible. But before I get into those, I got to tell you about our sponsor of today's show, and that is PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the action this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. PrizePicks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in. PrizePicks is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds to turn your cash or turn your takes into cash all season long on PrizePicks. Here's the lineup. Matt Olson, the more on hitting fantasy score. And then we got Thursday night football and also some games on Sunday. Thursday night football, James Cook, the more on a rushing receiving touchdown. Give me the more on that one. Michael Penix Jr., the more on passing yards. He has been going off, and especially against a weak Carolina defense. I got that one too. And then a max discount from PrizePicks. Give me the more. All it needs is one singular passing yard. You can make a lineup just like that one when you download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. All right, before we get into my keys to victory, I do want to show you guys the injury report from both of these teams. And it is a tough one for the Titans. If you guys can see, the most important position on the field is offensive lineman. And you have a DNP from J.C. Latham. You have a DNP from your wide receiver, Bryce Oliver. L'Jarius Sneed, of course, he's hurt once again. T'Vondre Sweat is limited. Kevin Winston Jr. is limited. That's hopeful because you want T'Vondre Sweat coming back after missing last week. But then Kevin Zeitler as another DNP with a bicep. And the biggest thing that I talk about is the offensive line because it has not been good. And now you have 2 of your starters, Latham and Zeitler, with DNPs. Do not practice or did not practice. That is a huge problem because if you go with backups, you already only have 9 offensive linemen on the roster. You're going to have to elevate someone from the practice squad. That is a big problem with how bad this offensive line is. And that's one of my keys to victory. But we're going to start with my first, and that's just contain Daniel Jones, man. I will say, I don't believe it. I refuse to believe that Daniel Jones has become this amazing player. And I looked at some of his stats, and he is being protected a ton. This is what his stats when kept clean. You see the completion percentage, which is 76.7 when he's kept clean. But then it drops to a 60. On the left side, that's 62 and 38 is how much he's kept clean and how little he's under pressure. So only 38% of the time. Well, you see his touchdowns. He's thrown none. He hasn't thrown an interception yet. But his completions, they drop when they get under pressure. So you have to get to the quarterback. And when you get to him, I know Daniel Jones. You can't fool me. I watched 5 years or 6 years at this point, 6 seasons of Daniel Jones on the New York Giants. He sucked. He was terrible. So you're telling me that this is all of a sudden just brand new to him and he's just going to turn it on and become this great quarterback? No, that's not happening. I know the real Daniel Jones. And if T'Vondre Sweat plays and you can get Jeffrey Simmons in the interior getting to him, it's going to be a long day. And maybe he'll come back down to earth. I said it before. I'm getting a lot of 2024 New Orleans Saints vibes from this Colts team. Last year, the Saints, they started off 2-0. They won in 2 blowouts. They beat the Cowboys like 47-10, I think that was. And then the week after, lost, got blown out, and lost 6 straight. I'm getting those vibes from the Colts. My key for number 2, biggest one, it probably should be number 1. Protect Cam Ward. We've seen how good Cam Ward can be. Yeah, he broke the unwritten rule of football and throwing it across his body, but plays that he's make. Like they said, oh, if Will Levis did that, he did that last year. Well, yeah, Will Levis can't make those plays. Cam Ward can, but he has not been protected in the slightest. He's taken 11 sacks in his first 2 games, and only David Carr, David Norrie, and I can't even pronounce David's last name. Kringer, is that it? I can't pronounce it. Only those 2 guys were sacked more. What was it? Klingler. All right. Those guys were the only people sacked more than Cam Ward. And the Titans currently rank 31st in both sack and pressure rates allowed. And I started to look at little stats. And there was this one person who made a chart of just all of the offensive lines in the NFL. And they said, we're going to compile the PFF grades, the SIS grades, which is blown block percentage, and then ESPN's grades, and create a composite of all of the offensive line. You see the Broncos there at number 1 at 98 score. Well, you see 31st with the Los Angeles Rams at 21. The Titans have a 5. That is awful. Awful. Awful, 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 awful. It is terrible. Cam Ward is running for his life out there, and this all stems from Mike Borgonzi because he emphasized trying to get this offensive line good. You moved J.C. Latham, who's a first-round pick, over to right tackle. You gave Dan Moore Jr. a bag, over $80 million, and he sucked. I will say Peter Skoronski has been really good, and Kevin Zeitler, he's a vet, but he has been solid. But this offensive line has been terrible, ladies and gentlemen, and Cam Ward is running for his life. And this was the problem that I had a feeling about. Because if he's running for his life, he can't play good, he can't complete passes, and he's not going to be a good team. Because it doesn't matter who is back there under center. If you have no offensive line, you ain't doing shit. Number 3, make good halftime adjustments. And this was a big thing for me after the first 2 games where you look at the first half of each game between the Broncos and also the Los Angeles Rams. Everybody's like, whoa, this Titans team is actually pretty good. The defense is really good. We've locked down Matthew Stafford. We've locked down Bo Nix, throwing interceptions nonstop. But then you go into halftime with the lead, and it feels like they're like, all right, well, we won our game. We're only playing 30 minutes of football. And you go into the second half, and you have a complete collapse. You led at halftime 9-6 against the Broncos. You led at halftime, I think it was 13-10 against the Rams. Well, you go into the second half, how many touchdowns have the Titans scored? 0. They can't get downfield. It's unbelievable. It feels like they just go into halftime and they're okay. They're like, yeah, we're good. We're good. We won the game. We won our game. Now let's go out there and just have a little bit of fun. No. And this is flat out being out-coached. During the Broncos, Sean Payton obviously went into halftime, made halftime adjustments, and completely dominated the second half. Go to week 2. Sean McVay goes into the halftime, makes his halftime adjustments, and absolutely dominates. And now you can't move the ball down the field whatsoever. Why is that? Because you make no halftime adjustments. That's all it is. You have to go and make good halftime. You have to realize what you're doing, change it up a little bit, see what you're doing wrong, and change those things. And the last one, and this goes into also halftime adjustments. You have to take advantage of the field position that you're being given. Because the Titans have the best field position starting spot in the NFL, and they're one of the lowest scoring teams in the NFL. I got another chart for you guys. This is where each team is starting on the field. So you could see it right there. He's 20, 30, 40, 50. Well, you see all the way at the bottom for the Titans, they're starting the ball as average about the 35-yard line. And they are only averaging, their end average position is only 13 yards past where they start. And you see the Indianapolis Colts, they're starting at probably the 25-yard line. And they're going all the way down and scoring, and they're gaining 53 yards average on every drive. The Titans aren't doing anything with the field position that they're getting. All you have to do is just get 20 yards down the field, and you're in field goal range. They're not doing that. You have the upper hand every single starting drive while starting basically almost at midfield, and you're not doing anything with that. You have to take advantage of the field position that you're getting. It's unacceptable to not have that upper hand. And you're also, when you're getting downfield, you're not scoring touchdowns. What is it? Joey Sly is 8 for 8. Yeah, he's playing great. But I don't want to see him kick 8 field goals in the first 2 weeks. Score some touchdowns. Get down the field. Throw some touchdowns. Calvin Ridley, catch the goddamn ball. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot. And I know it's on the road and it's a division matchup, but this Titans team just doesn't. They disappoint me every single week in and, second half. So I think that they're going to hold the Colts to less than 30 points. But how the Colts defense is, I don't see the Titans scoring more than 20. You got to score touchdowns in this league to win football games, and they're not doing it. So what makes me think that they're going to do it on Sunday? I don't know. I got the Colts winning this one, and it's going to be 0-3, and we'll see what happens with Brian Callahan moving forward. Predict the score for me of Titans versus Colts. What do you guys think is going to be? What do you think the score is going to be? I gave my score prediction. Go down in the comments section right now. And while you're down there, if you made it to the end of the video and if you want daily Titans videos, go ahead, hit that sub button. We're going to be covering the Colts-Titans game. Got a video coming out after the game ends, so make sure you hit that sub button and tighten up.